Hi guys, welcome to my channel, or if you're already subscribed, welcome back. I sure am gonna miss Blue. I need to tell him soon. I don't want him to be blindsided. Something's different about you, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
We'll put something on it.
You want me to do what to him? You prevert.
Oh, you know what I mean. And I think you mean pervert.
So, you admit it. Wait, did you evolve?
Boy, you sure are one sharp tack, Trace.
Get out your feelings. Ain't no money in there. Edison needs your help. You must come quickly.
Before I start exposing my character flaws, I wanted to start off by evolving one of the guys from my healers video. Now, if you didn't watch that video, you might still recognize Crestrea, as they were used in this week's comic short. As you should know by now, this line is loosely based on a crested gecko. At least you'd know that if you watched the healers video. If you didn't watch that video, spoiler alert coming, this little guy is based on a crested gecko. Now, I didn't really have a concept in mind beforehand, I just wanted it to look cute and cool. Plus, my drag daughter has a crested gecko, and though this isn't based on her specific gecko, I just been wanting to make a Geccomon since she got it. I wanted the swirl on the belly to reflect the light in the sky, meaning, even if traveling in the darkest of caves, their belly will light the entire area. However, that does mean that the light dims at night, but it will still be glowing bright enough to light a path, kinda like a nightlight. I mushed together the words star and charisma to come up with the name
Starisma, the dark and light type. The fastest members of this family are tasked with orbiting the planet and keeping watch for invaders. They move so fast that the only thing visible is the glare from their golden antlers.
Okay, now we can get into the meat of the video. Pal number 2 brings you a brand new line. I really wasn't sure where I was going with this design, but I feel like I ended up really liking it. When I sketched up the rough draft, I was honestly thinking of a baby steel and grass monkey that is still developing. And while I kept the overall body type, I dropped the grass idea because I wanted to introduce another type. The type will be revealed on the Dex entry, but feel free to drop a comment with a guess while I'm working on the art. A little bit about this species, the piercings in their ears are actually bells. When under stress, they ring their bells and the hum helps them find the peace within. They also stretch like a rubber band, giving them excellent reach during training and invasions. Their most stretchy part is their tail, but it can only be stretched so thin before it snaps or is damaged beyond repair, at which point they would have no choice but to sever it, as it becomes a liability in battle. For this reason, they're very careful with their tails, as it doesn't naturally regrow. However, with rare magical medicines, scientists have recently regrown body parts of all sorts of species.
Monconch, the elastic and steel type. This species is easily annoyed. As a result, they spend a lot of time alone and make music to help keep themselves calm.
Side note, I'm sure you've already noticed the new type. Elastic is assigned to any pal in my world that is particularly stretchy. For pal number 3, I bring to you the evolution. At this stage in life, they are still struggling with their inner peace, sometimes acting like an angel, sometimes like a demon. They can be a trickster at times, but if they care for you as a friend, they are very protective. During invasions, I imagine that they're bouncing on their tail behind their best friend while using their magnetic appendages to catch projectiles and protect their friends. Consider yourself lucky to have this guy as a friend, because you don't want him as an enemy. The bells can make a beautiful sound, or they can cause a splitting headache. It mostly depends on their mood. So like, if they're annoyed, they kinda think you should suffer with them, and they bring on those headaches I previously mentioned by striking all of their bells at once. Bells? By striking all of their bells at once, as hard as they can. On the other hand, if they're in a good mood, they play a beautiful tune that will warm your heart, and will even make some other musical pals sing along. Considering the jewelry on the nose, I combined the words septum and monkey to come up with the name.
Septamonk ring their bells repeatedly in an attempt to calm their nerves, but it actually just annoys everyone around them. Some believe they do it on purpose, since the pals around them are usually the cause of their headaches.
Pal number 4 represents my scattered brain. There's been a combination of things that resulted in the way my mind works today. From experimenting with things that I shouldn't have in my early 20s, which started some memory loss, to being in a very bad car accident that left me in pain for the last 10 years. And quite honestly, I don't see the pain going away, but it's a miracle that I'm still alive, so I'm grateful, I guess. Throw in some trauma that'll haunt me and leave me to be a very quiet shell of what I used to be. I've been getting better at following a schedule, and I try my best in conversation, but honestly, sometimes I think I just have too many thoughts at once, and I can't land on one, so as a result, I'm just a very quiet overthinker. The perfect visual representation of my mind is one of those cartoony fight clouds. Then I said, but make it cute. With that visualization in mind, I came up with this guy. I'm thinking this guy will be a 3-in-1 kind of entity, a result of the Prevos getting themselves in a Rat King-like situation. So in the near future, you can surely expect a Prevo. The current name is easy to understand, but it is a bit basic, so I might opt in for something a little bit more creative then.
Shapefile, the resource and normal type.
Another quick side note. For this pal, you'll see yet another new type introduced. I'm calling it resource because they naturally shed resources and don't need to be harmed in order to harvest, which is highly illegal in my world, by the way.
When one sheep faints, the next sheep takes over with fully restored health, but with slightly lowered agility stats. If they ignore 3 commands in a row, on the next turn they will make it up to you by using all 3 attacks in one turn, so you won't be mad at them.
For pal number 5, I wanted to bring you a redesign of Pengli, and introduce her identical twin brother, Pengloom. I don't know what on earth made me think that this pal was ready to be seen by the public, but this design is way better in my opinion. Now get that shit off of my screen. I wanted to use this redesign to represent my mood swings, and split my light and dark sides into 2 entities. I'm pretty sure I'm a bit bipolar, though I've never been diagnosed. While these guys are identical, you can tell them apart by looking into their eyes. Body language also gives them away, as Pengli will always be giving off a confident and happy energy, and Pengloom is eternally sad, but tries not to let her be contagious, so they hide their face with their feathers. It seems that the only thing that can momentarily cheer up Pengloom is feeding off of Pengli's positive energy, and they also enjoy the diving competitions I mentioned back in video number 3. I'm sure most of you didn't see that video, so here's a brief summary. The original design was made when I found out some breeds of penguins steal rocks and pebbles to build their nests, and in my world, these guys have diving competitions, and the deepest divers are tasked with warning deep-sea monsters of invasions.
Pengli and Pengloom can steal the rock typing from their opponents, reducing them to a normal type and allowing the twins to use the typing to their advantage.
On the old design, I just stuck stones in the footpads and called it a rock type, but this ability is a much more clever way to weave in the rock-stealing trait of the penguin. Pal number 6 is going to be a slug, a snail without a shell. Very much a visual representation of my motivation and ambition levels lately. To be honest, I didn't have too much of a concept for this guy. I'm just a very sluggish person, so I wanted to make a slug-based guy. Most days, it is hard for me to get out of bed, but I've been getting better at getting up and telling that voice to shut the fuck up before I wake up the artist in me. I found out that I have a much more productive day if I wake up and draw something before I have breakfast. Once I'm done with the drawing or 2, I get to cleaning and all of that other morning stuff. It's just a matter of being strict with myself, but I definitely still have my moments. My best friend is a stay-at-home wife, so we do be a little sluggish together sometimes, and I've been known to drag her into a fat nap. For that reason, I was thinking it'd be cool to give this guy an ability, making their sluggishness very contagious. Also, on the dex entry, it should say ground where it says normal, but I don't feel like fixing it. I combined the words dawdle, meaning to move slowly, and lethargy to come up with this guy's name.
Dawdlet, the ground and slime type. Making eye contact with this pal brings the opponent to a lethargic state, while making physical contact will lower their speed and accuracy.
Last side note of the video, I promise. The slime type will be assigned to the creatures that have an almost shape-shifting silhouette. Think mollusks. I gotta confess, I can be an ass at times, so for pal number 7, I wanted to make a donkey. While reading a little bit about donkeys, I learned that they release their body heat through their ears. While I'm not the most hot-headed person externally, I feel all of that on the inside. So I made this guy hot-headed in a literal sense by adding a thermometer to the design. That way you can actually see them reaching their boiling point, until they have no choice to let it all out. I imagine that they get hotter and hotter during battle, and at their boiling point, it can produce burning beams. And I'm thinking it'd be pretty cool to have the beams shoot out of their ears. Outside of battles or invasions, they simply release the heat from their ears as their body gets uncomfortably hot. I originally combined the words Fol and Fahrenheit to come up with the name Fahrenheit, but it wasn't sitting right with me. I think I landed on a decent name by playing with the word hee-haw, which is the sound a donkey makes. Considering the hot-headed nature, I came up with the name.
Heat-hawk, the fire and ice type are impervious to fire and ice attacks, as ice attacks cool their hot body and fire attacks are absorbed and will add extra damage to their next attack.
For the 8th and final pal of the video, I wanted to stop looking at my negatives and focus on one positive thing about myself. I do feel like I'm a very caring person and would do anything for the people I call my family. At one point, I was a caregiver in a group home of 5 men with developmental disabilities. But I stopped doing that a little over 10 years ago, and I dipped my toes in other areas of the medical field. I wanted to make a cat that's a caregiver who goes to great lengths to get any job done. And I also thought it would be cute for them to be able to temporarily cure depression by rubbing their cheeks against yours. Little side note, I just recently fell back into being a caregiver again, since my best friend's mom was diagnosed with dementia, and this lady was basically a second mother to me growing up. They needed an extra pair of hands around the house, and I needed a place to live. So, lo and behold, I'm not a homeless anymore. Anywho, this pal is obviously going to be a healer type, and I'm thinking, since this video is based on my character flaws, I'll make the second typing fairy, because I am a faggot.
Medikit, the hospitable helper is a healing fairy who will stay up all night to make sure your body is not rejecting treatment. They do not produce any medicine but are professionals at administering.
Well, that's all the pals I have for you in this video. But before you go, there are a couple ways you could get your concepts featured on a future video. Submissions can be digital or on a clean, unwrinkled sheet of paper. Not an artist, submit a text-only dex entry. Tune in next time to figure out who's that FAKEMON. Have any guesses on what you think it might be? Leave a comment. And if you ever feel like you've left too many comments, just leave 2 more. And please use this for your submissions. The more info you include, the more understanding I'll have while rendering your ideas. Understand that your submissions are not commissions, but commissions are prioritized. Thanks for watching until the end. I've decided to reduce my uploads to every other Wednesday at noon, and that's US Central Time, just until I'm finished with school. I may miss an upload from time to time, but either way, if you subscribe and ring my bell, you'll be notified of every upload. I hope everybody had a great Pride Month, and I hope you continue to be yourself for the rest of the year. Bye.